So we will go ahead and get started. I know people are still trickling in, but we'll kick off with today's announcements. So welcome to day 3 of our CompuCell Summer Workshop 2025. Today we will be looking at chemical gradients, diffusion, secretion, and absorption, and activity in building an avascular tumor. Just as a reminder, this session, along with every other session during the workshop, is being recorded and live streamed to YouTube for future viewing. So please do keep in mind that the session is being recorded. You can find all of the materials for today in the student materials folder, which I'll put in the chat here in just a second. Again, if you have not joined our Slack yet, please go ahead and do so. We will be using that relatively extensively throughout the hackathon. So if you're planning on participating in the hackathon, the Slack will be an especially useful source. All right, and we'd like to thank our funding sources through the NSF and previously through the NIH, as well as our support network with the IUB, Biocomplexity Institute, and the OpenVT and Glimprint initiatives. So our normal people list, today we'll be hearing from Pedro. He's going to be doing all 3 modules today. So today is Pedro Day. Again, if you'd like to send questions to anybody in particular, these emails can be found in the announcement slides, which will be in the student materials folder here in just a second. I need to upload those real quick. But again, if you are not sure who to email, just email me and I will forward you to the appropriate party. So again, we're on day 3, talking about chemical fields and diffusion primarily today. For module 3.1, we'll be looking at diffusion principles in CompuCell, followed by a lunch break at noon. Module 3.2, we'll be talking about secretion and absorption. Afternoon break from 2:30 to 3 as normal. And then for module 3, we'll be doing a hands-on extended model building exercise of an avascular tumor system with our normal time at the end for Q&A. There's a chance that we may get started on module 3.2 a little bit early, kind of at the tail end of module 3.1. But we will resume after lunch with the rest of the module 3.2 content. One quick note, I think everybody has already heard this for the most part, but again, just as a reminder, we've been having issues with CompuCell version 4.7.0 crashing frequently on repeated runs of an open simulation. We have a workaround where crashing can generally be avoided if you close the player window after stopping your simulation and then relaunch the simulation from Twedit every time. It's not optimal. It does take a few minutes for Twedit to reinitialize player, but it's not as long as having to wait for player to recover from a crash. So what we are recommending that people do until we can get this bug figured out is to roll back to 4.6.0 when you have some time, maybe during the lunch break today, if you haven't yet. Again, if you would like to stay with 4.7, that's okay. Just be aware that you may have this crashing issue, but you can roll back to 4.6.0 by following the SourceForge link in the slides here, downloading the 4.6.0 installer and following the instructions that you would follow for 4.7 to run the installer again. And the installer will detect that you have CompuCell installed and will uninstall it for you before reinstalling a new instance. If you install it through Conda, you can have both versions on your system at once. You just have to create a second Conda environment for 4.6.0 and then substitute the version number in the Conda installation instructions on the website. So wherever it says 4.7.0, you would just replace that with 4.6.0. And then you would activate the 4.6.0 Conda environment before launching. Again, if anybody needs help with that during the lunch break, we'd be happy to help. And finally, last slide before we turn things over to Pedro, we are doing guest presentations tomorrow and Friday in the second module. These will be parallel sessions. We'll have Zoom links sent out by the end of the day today. The way this will work is basically you'll leave for lunch like normal, and then you'll come back and join the parallel session of your choice, and then you'll come back to the main session for module 3 tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. So we have a number of presenters this year. Dr. Zhang from Emory University, Shane Hudson from Vanderbilt, Joe Burkhout from Utrecht University, Polly Tika from University of Turku, Tom Knudsen presenting on Friday, formerly of the EPA. He's done a number of different studies with CompuCell. Toru Matsura and Jim Sluka from Kansai Medical University and Indiana University, respectively, and then Bharat Vivan from Vanderbilt, who is actually a previous attendee of the CompuCell workshop and has been publishing in CompuCell since then. So we'll be sending out more information, including links to the papers that they'll be presenting about, as well as abstracts by the end of the day today, so you can start thinking about which session you might like to attend. And we'll send out instructions tonight on how joining the Zoom sessions and then rejoining the main session will work tomorrow. One note, we do have Dr. Zhang's presentation will be taking place during lunch. He's joining us from China tomorrow and will be in a difficult time zone. So if you would like to attend Dr. Zhang's presentation, you may want to plan on taking your lunch after his presentation, and then you can always rejoin a second presentation after that if you'd like while you eat. Again, details about this will be sent out tonight by the end of the day. I'm getting a note here actually that from James that people are noticing the crash in 4.6 as well.
I don't, it's okay. If you're using 4.7 and you're okay with closing it and then relaunching it, I'd encourage you to stick with 4.7. If it's a problem, rolling back to 4.6 is okay. But I know a lot of people are saying that they're all right with the 4.7 with the closing. And so there's a question in the chat, by the way.
Yeah, Ripla, I'll be sending out a document later today with the abstracts for each presentation with more information and links to the papers as well if you'd like to take a look.